Okay today? Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Okay, but let's get started. This is our small grants pilot. This is our second RFP session. So we run a couple of these because we just want to make sure that everyone that who wants to know about what's happening with our small grants program can jump in on this and ask questions. But as Angelica said earlier, it is recorded, so you will be able to refer back to it. But as well, I do send out a PDF of this particular slide, the slides you're going to see today. So you'll also be able to have that. But we're going to walk you through the purpose of this particular program. And then after that, Angelica is going to walk you through what it looks like to actually go in the system and start to create your account and to begin to apply. Okay, so let's get into it. So the goal of the small grants pilot is exactly what you see here. We wanted to reduce the barriers for any small grassroots organization, minority-led nonprofits that are actually doing work, great work out in the community. We know that most of the time the larger big grants go to the larger, bigger nonprofits, but we wanted to create a bridge where the smaller nonprofits can come in as well, and then we'll also be able to help them grow. But first, to begin with the small grants pilot, to be able to resource them with funding. So this is what we know and how we really wanted to land on introducing this and executing this. Number one, we know that community-based grassroots organizations and minority-led organizations are very valuable, as it says here, and addressing all those needs in the community, because you all are there, you're hands-on, you're working with the people, you know the people in the neighborhood, you know what's happening. So you're there seeing what the solution actually is and what it should be in a timely and relevant way. The second thing we know is that, and very much aware of this, that smaller organizations do face challenges to develop and actually grow and establish what they're doing and enhance what they do. Because there's challenges when you don't have the funding that you need, or just the connection or other resources that you need. There's a challenge in what all you really want to do to accomplish the vision that you may have in your head or heart. And then we also know that these organizations do have the credibility, and that's a big plus. Because you're right there in the neighborhood, we know that we can go to a resident and the resident says, yeah, I know that particular person of that organization. And yes, they're very involved. So we have done our research internally, and then also going out and doing community sessions called Care to Share listening sessions, where we're hearing what's happening in the community and we're hearing about the smaller nonprofits that are there doing great work. So what are we looking for? For the small grants pilot, we are looking for any small grassroots minority-led nonprofit. That's what we're looking for. Now, you see the first bullet point, it says that priority is given to Black or Brown led, and or it needs to have board representation from those minority communities. That does not mean that any other nonprofit, small nonprofit cannot apply. Absolutely, this is open to everyone. So please understand that this is open to everyone. But because of what we know and because of data and what has been researched, whether it's Broward County, Florida, across the nation, Black and Brown organizations do have disparities and do not get the opportunity to receive funding compared to other counterparts. And so that's what we're doing here. We want to level the playing field. So we're just saying priority is given. Programs still have to be good, because we just do not just hand out the money. The program still has to be good and things have to be in place, but priority is given, but all are still being considered. Secondly, these nonprofits or programs, project, whatever you will introduce, it needs to be inclusive of the community where you will be. So basically, if you are based out of a particular area, then we need to know that you're working in that area. So we will check for that. And then lastly, we need to know that what you're applying for is addressing some particular issue, some particular challenge that's relative to the community. So we won't be just handing out funding for, let's say, to change your decorations, because even though aesthetically, your clients will feel at peace because they see all the beautiful green pottery in the background. No, we're not necessarily going to fund those. We need to know that your project or program is addressing some issue and that you're going to provide some type of outcome with that, okay? All right, so eligibility. So to be eligible for this, number one, you have to be operating in Broward for at least 2 years and have an operating budget of $500,000 or less. If you are above $500,000 in any way, you cannot qualify for this grants program. We have others that we roll out throughout the year, and you can definitely apply to those. But for this, you need to be 500,000 or less, and you must have operated in Broward County for at least 2 years. Secondly, again, as I mentioned before, that it's accessible to those in the local community. You need to have 501c3 status. If you do not have that, you need to have a fiscal sponsor with that tax exempt status. And again, any questions that we'll open up for questions at the end, but your organization needs to have 501c3 or your fiscal sponsor needs to have that. And that's for us, for when we're an organization that when we're funding any organization, we do make sure that our checks or whatever is awarded is given to an established 501c3 that is registered with the IRS. Again, as I said also before, address a critical issue and be able to provide an outcome for that. It can be volunteer driven, or you can have full-time or part-time staff. So if it's just you doing the work, that's fine. Or if it's 6 of you doing the work and none of you are paid, that is fine as well. Again, this is about the small grassroots nonprofits that are in the Broward County doing great work. So we understand that it's going to look different. So that's all you need. And then also, of course, be in good standing with the foundation. If you have applied with us in any way before, and there's something that's outstanding or still in question, then you wouldn't be eligible for the small grants program. So you do need to be in good standing with the foundation. Okay, next, the tiers. Now take a look at this carefully, because even though we say 500,000 or less, what you can request is still based upon your organizational budget, okay? So as you can see from 250, and I'm gonna go through these because I want it to be clear, 250, if your organization is anywhere in between there, you can request up to $25,000. Between 100,000, 100K and 250, you can request up to only 15. 50 to 100, you can request only up to 10,000. Then 25 to 50, up to $5,000. And then 5,000 to 25,000, up to $2,500. So depending, you need to take a really good look of what your organizational budget is for the year. Wherever you fall, that is the max that you can request up to. Again, we are going to be looking at your program. So that doesn't mean that you can just blatantly ask for the full amount and it's not applicable to your program. We're still going to look to see is what you're requesting, is it relevant to what your program needs are? So just know that it still must be relevant to what your program needs are. Now, funding support, what you can request for covers but is not limited to your program or your project expenses. So curriculum, lessons, your lesson materials, art goods, program goods, whatever you need to have that project or program go forward to be executed, you can request that. But you can also request operational expenses. So that does include employee wages. We're being very inclusive and generous. We're being very understanding of what the needs are in the small nonprofit community. But so we know that if you need to have some part-time worker or a full-time worker, according to what your project or program will need, we know that there needs to be a dedicated person there. So you might need, wages to be included. marketing needs as well, because when I was out doing the listening sessions in the community, that was a cry from a lot of nonprofits that people don't know we're here. We need to make sure we get the word out. We need marketing materials. This is why we've opened this. Maybe you need software, utilities, office supplies to really execute what you're doing. But remember, again, what you request does need to be relative to the program or project that you're planning to execute. Okay, so how to apply. And again, as I said earlier, Angelica's going to go through that later in detail so you can see what you will, she's going to show you exactly what you're going to be looking at. So it starts, it's open now. The first round is due March 1st. So that's just in a couple of weeks. Not sure if you can move that fast. If you can't, it's totally fine, because the next round, and excuse that typo, the next round is May 2nd that you would have to submit. So that gives you a lot more time to think through your program or your project, to put your budget together. And they are due at 11:45 that evening in our system. And again, you'll see what that looks like. And so remember, 2,000 to 500 according to your tier. And then also 25 up to 25,000. Now, when we have online as well, if you go to our website, which is cfbroward.org, when you get into our small grants page, there's a link where you can download as well our written RFP that has a little bit more detailed information, and you can also see where the tiers are. Just in case you forget, you will have this as well so that you can know where you will land. We will possibly be having Zoom interviews and or site visits as needed. So be aware of that as well, that if you are awarded and in consideration, it's granted, then we are likely to do that, because we want to make sure that your nonprofit is doing, great work. Okay, so again, here's just a visual, just so you can see what that looks like. Application deadline, this one's quick turnaround, March 1st. Then there's the review of those applications, interviews and site visits, and then the grant announcement of those awarded won't be done until May. So remember, you get it in by March, then we review. For those who are awarded, they will not be notified until May. So your program, technically, if you're launching a program, can't start until after that time. If you're enhancing a program of what you're already doing, just be aware of that. And then the second round, where you see May 2nd, then the review process again, but then that award announcement won't be until July. So again, make note of that, because if your funding needs to be allocated a certain way at a certain time, please understand that if you're dependent completely or in some way on what we provide, what we give. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Angelica, who's going to walk you through the application process.
Sure, thank you, Cherise. So for those of you who I don't know on this call, my name is Angelica Rosas. I'm the Director of Community Impact here at the Community Foundation. We will be addressing some of the questions in the chat momentarily, so just hang tight. Moving forward here, I'm just going to try and explain to you how you can access the application. And so, like Cherise was mentioning earlier, you go to our website at cfbroward.org. If you click on the nonprofits icon, that will take you to the nonprofits page. And as you scroll down on your very right-hand side, you will see a little icon there for how to apply for nonprofits. You click on the application tab, and it will take you to this login screen. This is what we like to call Fillnet. And even though this might look similar for nonprofits who have applied for grants at the foundation previously, just know that this is actually a brand new system behind this login screen. So if you're new, if you have created an account historically before 2022, just know that you have to create a new account right here. But what I would just caution and advise you is that if you are with an organization with multiple people that may apply for grants with us, just check in to see if somebody has already created an account, since we only want to have one account per organization. But so we go ahead and we click the create new account, and it will take you to the next screen. where you then have to answer some information. And I will just make sure to tell you to be as thorough and precise as you possibly can be, because this information that you're entering into the database right now will actually be on record with the foundation. So make sure that you type your organizational name correctly, make sure that you get the INN number in there correctly. All of the information with asterisks, just make sure that you get it in there, and please don't type in all caps because that kind of messes up our system in the back end, because we have to go and manually edit that for you guys. So just make sure that you type it, you know, the way that you're supposed to, and answer all of the asterisk questions. Next slide. There is an executive officer question, and I'm kind of going to throw that ball back to Sharice because I can't remember why we're asking that again.
because sometimes we notice when going into, and now understand that this is a very new system even for us. So there's still a little tweaks in the development of this software that we're working with. So not for you all to be confused when you start to go in, when you click the executive officer question and then you try to proceed, it's going to pull up this screen and ask you for a suffix and a mobile number and an address when you're thinking that you've probably already filled it out and all the necessary information. If this pops up, it's okay. Don't be confused. You can fill it out if you want to, or you can just click next and proceed to the next screen. And that's it.
That was easy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, just keep answering wherever the asterisks are. Okay. So now you have created your account and you have your organizational dashboard in front of you and you're ready to apply. And so you click on the apply button right there. But as you can see, we have multiple, well, you can't actually see this, but if you were to be live in our website or in our system, you would see that we have multiple RFPs open at this time. But just know that the small grants pilot is the top one, and you just click there where the yellow arrow is, where it says apply, and you can just start your application. Or if you go down to the left-hand corner where it says preview, you can just preview the whole application right there without even getting started, if that's what you prefer to do. But so you have the information here. There is also a link in here to get back to the RFP if you needed to get back to it and read it. So just know that this box here on the apply dashboard, if you will, has a lot of good information for you. So let's go ahead and click apply and see what happens. All right, so now you're into the application. And as you can see there on the top, you have your organizational information, or in this case, it's AROS NPO. And so you can see all of that information. And so there should be some yellow arrows popping up here.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm in the chat. So please, at least they know that I'm answering their questions. Okay.
Yeah, can you just pop them all up there and it's easy
okay.
to talk. All right, so while we watch all these yellow arrows populating here, I'm going to start talking about the yellow arrow on your very left aimed at the request tab. So that when you click on that particular request tab, then you know that that you can view everything that you've done in the system. If you apply in the future, that is where your historical requests will be. If you look down on your left, you'll see where all the deadlines are in the applications that you're currently working on. For example, you see, you know, that the deadline is coming up here. And you also see that you have to apply everywhere where there's an asterisk. All of those fields need to be completed. If we move across the screen to the right-hand side, you see there's a yellow arrow that points to something that says question list. That is a super great opportunity for you guys to click on that. That gives you a downloadable PDF that you can print out where you have all of the questions that are going to be asked in the application. In case you'd like to take that paper copy and sit down and think about it versus just typing on the computer, that's a good opportunity. And you can assemble the information, the documents that you may need to upload. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But just know that that's a good opportunity for you. The last two errors that I wanted to point out is in the top right-hand side, there's a blue box that says collaborate. When you click on that blue box, then you get the smaller box popping up that says collaborate inside, and it says you can enter somebody's email address, And you can give somebody permission if you're not the only one working on this application, or if you know have a friend that is helping you or a coworker that is helping you, you can either give them permission to view the application, or they can help write the application with you, or they can submit on your behalf. And so you just enter their email address, you type in a little message, and you click after the last yellow arrow where it says invite, and off it goes, and you can collaborate on this application if needed. So it's a really cool feature. So just, just play around with it, and essentially you can't do anything wrong in this system. Everything auto saves and everything. So we can always recover information for you if you feel like you did something incorrectly. Next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual application part. And we're just going to give you a flavor of some of the questions that we're looking for. And if it were to, spring any questions from you based on what you're seeing, just let us know. And so we just want to need to know what your mission statement is. And also we need to know what your staffing looks like. And like Sharice shared earlier, you can have full-time or part-time staff, or you can be an all volunteer driven organization, or any variety thereof, a mixture of. But just know there's no right or wrong answer here. We're just looking to identify the number of staff, either working volunteer or paid within your organization.
And also let me add, Angela, because I had someone, a couple of questions come in before via email. You have to put something there, so you can't leave it blank, because someone knows if I don't have it, can I just leave it? But you put 0. So make sure that the integer is still there in order for you to be able to move on.
Yeah, very good question. So that's that. Also, we want to know about your board composition, because we all know that nonprofits, they do need to have a board. We also understand that with some of the smaller organizations that you might only have a couple of people on your board, and that it could be family members, or it could be, only 2 or 3 board members, and that is okay. This is not a question that is looking to penalize anyone. We're simply trying to understand what your board composition looks like. So that's why we're asking for 3 things in this question: to tell us the number of board members that you have, and to just identify their racial and ethnical background, and 2, if they actually contribute financially to your organization. And again, there is no right or wrong answer there. It's just we're trying to collect information so that we can build up our database, so that we know how to help nonprofits moving forward, right? And also you have to upload a copy of your board list. So you just type up the board members' names and their affiliation, if you have any, save it as a Word document or a PDF, and you just upload it right here into the system. Next question. And also, of course, Sharice shared also earlier that we have a priority for Black and Brown-led organizations. If you have a question in that regard, so again, you will answer yes or no. And if you were to answer no, just know that we want to know just a little bit more about the leadership that is going on in your organization, and what that diversity looks like. And also, about your staff, the remainder of the staff and board demographics. So just take the time and just kind of describe where you're at, and if you have any plans on diversify further. That's really what that is. And then also there's an additional question in regards to diversity, inclusion, and equity within your organization. And if this is something that you may not have started, tell us what your ideas are to create a more inclusive and equitable environment within your organization. Next slide. One thing that we have noticed in our work here at the foundation is working collaboratively or with partners is very impactful. And we also hear that, especially with grassroots organizations, that you guys are really good with this. So we want you to describe your most significant collaboration or your partnerships that you have established. It could be that you're working with another nonprofit, or you've worked with the city, anything that you think is so important that you really want to point out that this is a big achievement for us to have established this partnership or collaboration. And should it be that for whatever reason you're not there yet, you haven't established one, you still have to answer the question and just say that unfortunately we haven't, you know, we don't have a significant collaboration at this time, but we're working on it. Again, this is not a plus or minus question. It's simply just for us to get more information about your organization. Of course, we need to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you
No
want it
worries.
back? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just tell us, you know, we need a number for the residents that you serve. So just a number, or if you're an animal welfare serving organization, you know, we don't necessarily need to know the amount of animals that you may serve, but there's always going to be a connection to the residents there. And if you're an animal welfare serving organization, just reach out to us and we'll kind of walk you through how to best answer that question. I just wanted to point that out. And then we can move on. Next slide. Okay, so now we're at the slide where we're talking about how much you can request, right? And so you see that the budget ranges and the maximum request ranges, and here is where you need to pick your amount, right? So up to whatever that amount is. And so you're going to enter that number in where it says $1 right there, and the $sign, and then you need to actually upload your most current or most currently board approved annual budget. And you go ahead and you upload it right there. And it is pretty standard for board, for the board to approve an annual operating budget. And if your board hasn't approved your budget yet, just know that you need to schedule a board meeting and have them approve it before you submit your application. And for the May 2nd deadline, I think you have time to make that happen, because they should be aware of what's going on with your finances. You need to tell us just a little bit about what success looks like for you, and then we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so we're looking for a couple of additional required uploads. What is very important is if you are a $500, or I should say $499,000 a year annual operating budget, and you regularly get an audit of your organization from an auditor, then just go ahead and upload that. That will satisfy the financial statements requirement, right? But if you don't, just know that we're looking for your past 12 months worth of financial statements, which will, and then we're not looking for bank statements, we're looking for your financial statements. You should have some sort of accounting type software. For the life of me now, the name are escaping me, but there are some QuickBooks or something, I guess they're called, or still if you have an Excel spreadsheet that you track your expenses and your revenues. But we just need to see your past 12 months just to make sure that you're actually, you know, in good financial standing. It is okay to be in the red. You don't have to be in the black, but we just need to make sure that you're not about to lose your business or your organization, because then, you know, that is a different problem that we unfortunately can't address with this grant. I see a question here about the operating budget. Yes, so if you have not, if your 2022 budget is not yet approved because maybe you're on an off fiscal year, you're not from a January to December, you're on a July 1 through June 30th, then yes, you can submit the 2021 one. That is fine. But if you are on a January through December, it should already be approved, if that makes sense. Okay, so then we're also, let's see here. We want you guys to upload the board minutes that approve your operational budget. Because you're first time most likely applying to a grant from the foundation, we're looking for just a copy of your 501c3 certificate, just to keep on record. And there's an opportunity to upload anything additional that you think might be of benefit to the foundation. Next slide. If you're using a fiscal sponsor, there's an opportunity to answer a whole horde of other questions. I do not think it's going to be very applicable. So if you're using a fiscal sponsor, maybe you need to reach out if you're having difficulties with the information that is needed. But I will say this though, if you're picking a fiscal sponsor to apply for us, your requested amount is based on their annual operational budget. So if they are a $25,000 a year operational budget, then you can only ask for $2,500. Just know that it's tied to the fiscal sponsor's operating budget, whatever you can request. After that, you're going to tell us whether or not you're requesting dollars for a specific project or for your overall core mission or general operating expenses. And so there are 2 questions that will pop up depending on what you choose. So if you decide to ask for project specific support, then the question will ask us to tell us a little bit more about that project, how you would like to expand, enhance, or market. If you're asking for core mission, then we will ask what operational expenses you're going to use the dollars for, and how will that help the core mission of your organization. Next question, next slide. Okay, and so this is just more that is coming in here, and we can probably fast forward over this one. Okay, so this is the last question of the application, and you'll see that you'll have the deadline there, and you have an opportunity to, if you decide that I'm going to abandon this application, this is not a good fit for me, you can click on the left there where it says abandon request, or you can go to the right where it says save application, and you can click on that, or you can click on submit application. Just know that unless you click that submit button, we will not evaluate your application, because if it's not submitted, simply we can't look at it, right? So after you click the submit application button and you haven't completed everything, then you'll get the next screen. All bunch of errors, right? And it will tell you exactly what you need to complete before you're ready to submit. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we're back to the overview of the deadlines and the timeline. So I'm just going to take a quick peek at the chat here and see if there's anything specific that I can talk about, or if not, please feel free to come up.
Oh, there's one. We just had one that says, are there things that you will and will not fund?
Well, there are a couple of things that are listed in the RFP that we're not going to support. For example, we're not supporting a fundraising event that is like of sponsorship type areas, like a golf tournament or a gala, that sort of thing. We are also not supporting grants to individuals, or if it's a membership, or if it's an annual campaign drive, anything like that, that is just, to reduce your deficit. That's not what we're looking to support. But other than that, pretty much everything else is fair game. And let's see here. There are some questions. I think Sharice addressed the questions about Brown Hispanic. Do we need
and I'm going to stop
clarity?
sharing my screen so we can see everyone for questions. Okay.
Do we need further clarity for that, or?
Where did this come from? This was from Marta. Did you need any other clarification for that, or you're clear?
No, I think you said that you're going to do
Yes.
that. You're going to send us your specific explanation of what you're looking for. But that, your answer was, to the point, and I appreciate it. And I'll just wait until you tell us otherwise. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but as I put in the chat, the current trend right now is that Brown refers to Hispanic in the U.S. So that's the language that we're using right now. We will be refining things as we go forward, but Brown does refer to Hispanic.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions that we can hopefully try and answer?
I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because you kept saying you were going to do the questions at the end, so I just
yes, we're ready.
jotted them down. But I did go ahead and put in a question there with regards to the application form. With some applications, you can actually start applying for it, and you realize that you have to get some more information, so you can save what you've started and come back to the application. Can I do that, or do I have to finish it the one time and done?
No, you can absolutely do that. And in fact, there is, like I mentioned earlier, there is an auto save feature. So you don't have to always that's what happens with your application. As you're typing, the system is saving it. And so you can just come back and log into your account. You'll be in the dashboard and you'll just go look down your request history and you just click continue your application. Or if you want to start a new one, you can of course start a new one, but
No.
What's the point in that, right?
Yeah, because I think I went ahead and started applying for it, and I don't know if it saved it or not.
Yes,
but
it would be there.
Oh, it wouldn't be? Okay. But I still thought I would wait until today.
What is your organizational name? I can look real quick.
Daughters of Zion.
Hold on one second.
Oh, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Daughters of Zion, Women of Destiny. It's a mentorship program.
Okay. Just checking.
Yes, I see you.
Okay, so you're there.
Wow.
The beautiful part about this, so all of you know that this new system it's so user friendly. So you go in and apply, you need to tip back out, go back in, no problem. But not just that, let's say next year or later in the fall, you want to apply for another grant. Your old application is still like all your information is still sitting there. So you can refer back to your old information as well. So it's not erased. It is your account and whatever you do in it.
Okay, wonderful. So my other question was with the interview that you made mention of, or the site visit. What does that entail?
It is kind of a get to know you visit, because we are envisioning that we are going to support organizations that are new to the foundation through this program. Yes. And so as much as we love to meet you on paper, we also like to meet you in person. Yeah. Just to kind of see, get to know the community where you're serving your constituents, and kind of just see more about, if you have a building or if not, just really just take a look, get to know you. It's not like how should we say, a walkthrough when you're, you're buying a house to check up things. It's not like that. It's informal, more of a get to know you type.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked, because I work from home. Okay. So I'm hoping to get the sponsorship so that we can acquire a building. But
also a site visit could be if you're running your program at a community center. We would just go visit you at the community center where you're doing your program. So it could be anything, or a church or wherever it's at. Just we want to see what's, get to know you, and then what your program looks like. Sure,
but we'll probably have to come up with something that works. I don't mind you coming to my home, because my office, right, operate the,
we don't need to do
the organization is here at the house, which is where I am. So either way, but again, like I said, one of the things that we want to put in our budget, and I'm not sure we should put it at this time for this, is to acquire a building. To rent, to have our events at.
Okay. Did we see a hand somewhere else? I wasn't sure.
I saw a hand, yeah.
I thought I did too.
Yes,
there it is.
That was me. Good afternoon, Sharif and Angelica. I work for Broward County, but I'm representing the North Broward County chapter of the Links. One of the questions that you mentioned would be asked on the application was the budget. Do you want the entire budget for the organization, or you want the budget for the project that we're submitting?
We want the entire organizational budget. As the additional upload, you can of course submit the project budget if that's what you were applying for. But the way that we're trying to match up, or to make sure that you're meeting the right threshold for your request amount. Okay. We want to see the entire organization.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sure. Altis, I believe, if we're saying your first, if this is your first name, I'm not sure. Your hand is raised.
Yes.
Okay, yes. How can we help you?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Altis Jean. I just started one I've just got the certificate from the IRS. I don't have the financial statement. I don't have a both minute approving your care. I would like to know where I can find the document. I have only 501c3 certificate from the IRS, where I can find the financial statement and approving and approving your care operation, where I can find this document.
So I can try and help answer your question there. So since you just received your 501c3 certificate from the IRS, my question is, have you been operational for these past 2 years without having the certificate?
Altis?
Yes.
We're asking, even though you just received your 501c3 status, have you still been doing your nonprofit work and operating for the past 2 years in Broward?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then, we don't have the financial documents. It's something that you as a nonprofit will create. And actually, you may or may not be ready to apply just yet if you don't have those financial documents right yet, or you have to find that fiscal sponsor to help you through that process. And again, you would be the one who would have to identify a different 501c3 that could be your fiscal sponsor. But I also wanted to kind of put this out there that we are launching something called the Broward Center for Nonprofit Excellence in the fall. And I think that you will be an excellent organization to participate in our programming, to learn more about how to run your nonprofit, how to start your board, and all of that kinds of good stuff. So if you're not ready to apply now, just know that there are more resources coming later on this year. And you will be on our email list, so you will receive those informations. And this is applicable for anybody, it's not just for you. But I just wanted to point that out there.
Would love to have that information too.
Yeah, everybody's going to be on the email list for when we launch it. So,
Joyce, you have a question?
I do. Hi, thank you, ladies. Couple questions. Okay, so for example, if I am applying for marketing position, for example, does the grant need to be written from the perspective of what their position would be doing, or do you want to know what the program is? And naturally, if it's marketing, they would be doing the marketing of the program. So what piece of information do you want the further explanation on? The position itself or the overall mission, and program that it would be going toward?
I would suggest that we need both, because we will have a stronger case if you tell us about the position and how that position will help strengthen your programs. Tell the whole story.
Remember, we said earlier that we want to see what you're affecting. What are the outcomes, or what are the challenges that are being addressed within the particular community that you're serving? So that position means you need to have someone, because it's going to add this value to your program or project for this community in whatever way. So both, as Angelica said. Okay, is that it? I'm sorry, any other questions, Joyce?
Yes, thank you. The other one was, you had mentioned that we should upload our current organizational budget. Okay, I have a couple questions related to that. Number one is, we take board notes, but I don't have a specific line item that says budget is approved. However, I do have the meeting that, I have the notes from when the budget was presented to them, but it's not something that like they sign off on. So how would I show that?
So typically, the board should approve your budget. So I would see if, since there is time before the second deadline, I would see if you could call for a vote for them to approve it. And that way it will be amended to the notes, and you just go ahead and upload that.
And what would that look like? I mean, when you're saying to, approve it, what would that look like? Is it like a signed Word document, or what would that look like?
Yeah. I was gonna,
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Sharice.
Oh, usually on your letterhead, you would just have a secondary dated note that this is when this meeting was held to approve the minutes from the previous meeting that you had, which include approval of X amount of budget, and it just needs to be on your date and letterhead and documented.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. And
So
then-
simple as that.
Okay.
That's it. Oh,
Yep, the last question, still regarding the budget. I missed the part, I think you were saying that we do need to upload documentation of an audited budget from a previous year. Did I hear that correctly? I didn't catch that part.
So there's two ways to satisfy the financial questions, right? So either you upload an audit if you're an organization that regularly audit your financials. That typically happens for larger scale organizations. But I think that most of the organizations that will apply do not regularly audit their statements because it does cost a lot of money to complete a full audit through an accounting firm. So either you upload your audit or 12 months worth of financial statements. If you're having QuickBooks, you can run your statements that way, or if you just using Excel, you need to see your expenses and revenues for a full 12 months.
That's actually, that you just reminded me, that's exactly what it pertained to when you said 12 months. Now, is that a particular start and end period, or does it have to be like fiscal year or calendar year, or can it just be the last 12 months?
Well, it should be your most recently completed fiscal year, whatever 12-month period that is, whether it's January through December or July through June, whatever your organization have determined to be your fiscal year.
okay. Is that it, Joyce?
Your year or fiscal year.
Could I ask the follow-up question to that?
Yeah.
And also, I'm sorry, and before you continue, I just want you all to know too as well, on Wednesdays, I'll have 15-minute increments of time that if you want to have a follow-up conversation about your particular organization, I'll be making that available only on Wednesdays though, for right now, for 15-minute increments.
Okay.
Okay, so you can go ahead.
Thank
And then
you.
we'll have Jean's question will be after you.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on the last question that I think Joyce was asking, because that was some of my concerns as well. Regarding the 12-month financial statement, could this be in lieu of a professional financial statement that's been put together? Could it be copies of your bank statement that shows the costs that we incurred during that year?
So unfortunately, no, only because how do we know that you only have one bank account? So that's why we're looking for financial statements that actually tells us the story of this, was the ins and outs, because I'm sure that most organizations here, they don't balance their checkbook by just looking at their bank account. They should have some way of tracking expenses and revenues.
Okay, we're praying to get there, but I just want to ask.
I know.
That's what we've been using. We'll pull that.
Right.
Yes,
Do a statement.
understandable.
Right.
Understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
Small nonprofit, we understand. Jean, your question?
Hey, good evening, ladies. My question is,
I think we got him muted somehow.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, my name is Gene.
Oh,
Hello? Yeah,
I
we can't hear you.
him.
Yeah, we can't hear
Jean.
you. If you're saying anything, Jean, we can't hear you. Okay.
Well, while Jean is working on his audio, is there any other final questions that you'd like to ask?
Okay,
it seems like that's it. Okay.
Well, I had a question.
Okay.
One of the areas that you needed information for included, where are my notes? Getting a copy of the list of your board members.
Mhm.
And so my question was, would say we have to do, we have our annual report that we do as nonprofit. Would that suffice? Would just giving you a copy of that, because it has a list of all of the board members and their roles?
Whichever makes it easier for you, as long as it's, it's just a list of the board members. It could be, from there, or it can be something you type up on a Word document. That's absolutely fine. We're just looking for a list of your board members.
Yeah, but I think you're gonna need this in any event to prove that we're a 501c3.
The board members?
No, don't you need the annual report
No,
as well?
no,
Okay.
no. Just your 501c3 certificate. Yep. Jean, do you want to give it another try, and then Joyce?
Yes, I'm gonna try again. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my question, I'm with the Huge Heart Foundation, and we house seniors and veterans that suffers from mental illness. So I have two locations. I have one where the residents resides, and I have another location where we have all our program, computer literacy, all that stuff goes on there. Which one would you guys want to visit? What do you guys want to visit, both, or just the one where the residents reside?
So I'd say that let's talk about that when we get ready for that piece. And depending on what your application says, so this just don't even sweat it at this point. Just wait until we get to that part of the application, and we will work it out. We will find a spot that works for your clients, and to see your program. So don't worry about that at all. Just complete the application, and if you qualify, if you're moving forward in the process and you qualify for a visit, then we will reach out and set that up.
Okay, perfect. Another question. I think in the beginning, she stated that the application is open now, or will it be open right on March 1st?
So yes, so the application is open now. The first deadline is March 1st. And then if you don't press submit by that time, you can continue, noodling on your application. As long as you submit by May 2nd, then you're able to participate and apply under this pilot program.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks. Joyce?
And Joyce had one, yes.
Yes, hi. No more questions. I actually just wanted to say thank you so very much for what you're doing, because you are spot on that little
nonprofits like us really need the help. And it's discouraging sometimes, in fact, all the time, to see these massive organizations get lots of money while we're working just as hard, and frankly, a lot of times even harder, because we have to wear so many hats. Yeah.
So we're just I'm speaking, from my perspective, but I'm sure everybody feels the same.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And
Very welcome.
we do appreciate hearing it, but just know that there's more to come, and we are here to support all nonprofits of Broward. And this is just our new way of trying to reach out to the ones that are a little bit on the smaller end. And again, with the launch of the new nonprofit center, I think that we are going to be able to continue and have wonderful conversations and get to know so many more wonderful nonprofits in Broward. So we are totally looking forward to this process as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. And likewise, I am too. So thank you on behalf of Big
You're
Children.
welcome.
Yep.
I think the last question of the day goes to Darlene.
I was talking to one anyway. I'm excited about it, and I think my sentiments are the same as the last person who gave thank you to you, because it is great to know that we have help with the smaller ones that are coming up and about. So in that regard, in faith, I'm believing that I'm going to be granted this opportunity for my organization. So what happens when I'm approved? do you send us a check or is it sent to our bank account? What's the process after we've submitted it and we've been given a yes?
That is a good question. And so typically what we do is we execute a grant agreement. We are still in the process of determining whether or not we're going to do grant agreements, because at the end of the day, these are smaller grants and we're trying to make it easy. And so there might be an opportunity for us to just send a letter that outlines the guidelines that accompanies an actual check that will be mailed to your organizational record that you have created in the profile. So, but you will be notified before checks goes out. There will be an email going out, say, to all of the applicants, you know, congratulating those who received the grant, and unfortunately, you know, turning down organizations who didn't make it. But we're, you know, of course, we want to try and support as many worthy causes and projects as
I think you said that you make a decision on the 2nd of May.
No, that's when the notifications will be made by for the first round.
So say that again?
That is when the notifications will be made by. So that is the latest you will hear from us in regards to the first round.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we got one more hand. Jean.
Quick question. Now, is it just like one winner or that gets the funds, or is multiple different organizations that?
No, we're looking to support a lot of different organizations. You know, we don't know exactly how many. It all depends on the requests that are coming in. But I can tell you that we're looking to support at least, at minimum, I should say, like at least 10 to 15 different.
Yeah, at least 10, exactly.
But again, it depends on the different budget requests. It could be more, but minimum 10 to 15.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All righty. Again, I will be sending out this PDF of the slides to you all, everyone that registered. I will have time in 15-minute increments just on Wednesdays. So first come, first serve. If you need more additional answers or questions regarding your application, I cannot help you develop your program or give you specifics on your budget, but I can give you an overall, you know, view. You're welcome, Catherine. Anything else, Angelica? I think that's it.
No, I think that's it. And we're at 5 o'clock on the dot. So I thank you guys very much. And I wish you luck in your applications.
All right, good.
Thank
Have
you
a great,
so much.
have a great rest of your day.
Okay,
Bye.
I look forward to receiving your